Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is JuStarrea, the Demystified Herbalist, and welcome to episode 14 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled Red Zone Words Words Herbalists Should Avoid. Now, before I get into this podcast, let me say I am not a licensed legal professional, and the information shared in this podcast is not intended as legal advice. It is for informational purposes only. For legal matters, please consult with a qualified attorney to obtain advice tailored to your specific situation. Now, why would I be concerned about legal matters as it pertains to herbalists? First of all, I am an herbalist. And I'm very concerned about being sued or anyone else getting sued and why. I began to do some studying and some research around why holistic health practitioners or herbalists have gotten sued and some of the reasons around it. One of the common things that I found in my research is the language that was being used. And because they used a lot of the language in terms of what they said in their writings, on documents, they used the language of the medical community. Because they did that, all right, they were accused of practicing medicine without a license. And so I wanted to make sure that I did not put myself at risk to be sued in that way, or really even at all. And so I learned from the mistakes of others. And the common thread, like I said before, was the language that was used by these particular people that caused them to run into lawsuit issues. So I'm going to share with you some of these words. I call them red zone words for a reason. If I could put them on a stop sign, maybe that'll be the design for this thumbnail. But if I create a stop sign and put the words in there instead of stop, put the words in, I would definitely do that, because that's how serious it is when it comes to these words. And it's not just the words, it's just their overall methodologies as well. But today, we're here to talk about the words. So, what are red zone words? Let me give you my definition. Red zone words are words that should be avoided by the herbal community, either because they are unethical or they are designated for use by those in a certain profession, like the medical community, other than medicine. All right. So using these words can have severe consequences. Like I said before, you can be sued, being accused of practicing medicine without a license, and you do not want that. Now, there are many states and countries that restrict the language that herbalists can use, so you want to make yourself familiar with those, and you want to be careful. And this also includes product creators as well. Any product creators, you want to make sure that you know the language that you can use on your products so that you don't get yourself in trouble either. Because if you're in the United States and you go on the FDA's website, they do have those people who have had their products taken down or stripped or whatever because they used language that they weren't supposed to. So language here is very important, and that's why I'm stressing language the way that I am. All right. Now let's dive into some of these words. The first red zone word is prescribe. Now, according to Webster's dictionary, prescribe is defined as to designate or order the use of as a remedy. This word is designated to the medical community, and this typically refers to, medical doctors, doctors of osteopathic medicines, nurse practitioners, or physician's assistants. And this is because they provide a formal order for medication, treatment, or even therapy. And they have the legal authority and training to be able to do this. So it's important to note that the ability to prescribe medication is regulated by licensing and the scope of practice laws, which vary by different states. So you want to know that as an herbalist. As herbalists, we can provide recommendations or we can make suggestions, but we don't have any legal authority to prescribe medications. So keep that in mind. Next red zone word is diagnose. And diagnose is typically associated with licensed healthcare professionals, i.e. medical doctors, doctors of osteopathic medicines, nurse practitioners, or physician's assistants, because they have the legal authority to diagnose medical conditions. And that is important to understand that. And it is granted to them through licensure, and it's regulated by healthcare laws and regulations, which again can vary based on whatever area that you are in. Another red zone word is cure. Now you hear some herbalists, I don't want to say a lot of herbalists, but you do hear, I've cured someone of this, I've cured someone of that. Don't use this word. Okay? Do not use this word. Like I said before, the minute that you say you are an herbalist, the minute that you decide to use plant medicine for the betterment of society and for the betterment of other people, for the betterment of your family, you do have a target on your back. And as you rise, so to speak, in the face of social media, as you rise, you begin to stand out amongst the herbalists, okay? You make yourself a target. And so what you want to do is limit your chances of being brought to court. Somebody being able to find something on you, find something in what you're saying. And you say, oh yeah, see, he said that, and code this. He said he's not supposed to be able to use the word cure. So that's what we're going to take him to court on if we want to take you down. You have to be careful, not paranoid, but you just have to be careful. And cure is one of those words that, it implies the complete, like they say, eradication or resolution of a medical condition. And believe it or not, the use of the term cure is a regulated word. So, and you're like, how is it regulated? Because it's typically associated with evidence-based conventional medical treatments provided by who? Licensed healthcare professionals. And as I've said before, those are the medical doctors, the doctors of osteopathic medicine. Okay. All right. Another red zone word that I have on here is treat disease. Now, treat disease is commonly associated with the medical community. All right. Medical doctors, doctors of osteopathic medicine, they have the legal authority to use this word. So you don't want to use that word. You don't treat anything, okay, as an herbalist. And last but not least, guarantee. This is another red zone word. Now, this word here, anyone can use the word guarantee. All right. This is not just limited within the medical community. Anybody can use this word. However, is it ethical? Ask yourself that. Should you guarantee? Even if you have a sample size of clients that this particular medicine has worked for, even if it was 9 out of 10 people that it actually worked for, or if it was 99.999% of people that it worked for, even if it was that, even if you have a good solid sample size of people that this particular herbal protocol has actually worked for, there are so many factors and variables that are involved in herbal medicine's ability to actually work and be effective that you don't want to. And these things are things you have no control over, like someone's medical condition or their medical history or even lifestyle. They're smokers or, heavy drinkers, or if they do drugs, these are things that you don't have control over, and they change, and the variables are constantly changing and shifting. So because you don't have any control over those factors, you don't want to guarantee anything. Their health condition could be very complex. It could be layered. You're talking about, several different systems at play when the body is out of balance. And so it's hard to take into consideration, just one thing. You have to take in consideration many things. The other thing is health changes, right? So you don't want to guarantee anything. Never mind the fact that, the interaction once the herb hits the body system and how it has to interact with that particular person's physiology. Also, if they're taking medications, maybe they're telling you about them, maybe they're not. If they have an underlying health condition, maybe they're telling you, maybe they're not. So because you have so much, your control is limited, you don't want to make those type of guarantees. You can predict, but you don't want to make guarantees because there's so many variables involved that could say this could work or it could not work. There's so many barriers, it's just like, I don't want to make predictions. But you will get the pressure from people to say, no, I guarantee this will work. If you do it this way, it will definitely work. And it's like, I can tell you that it has worked for people. I can tell you that 9 out of the 10 clients that I've had has said that these are the results that they've gotten. But I can't say I guarantee you this will work for you. Because first of all, it's dangerous. And people are fickle. Like, I'm going to talk to my herbalist. Let's be real here. People are fickle. They're riding with you as long as they can benefit, as long as things are working out, as long as the remedies is working, they're good. But the minute something goes wrong, they will crucify you. They will, even if they didn't fully follow the protocol, or they omitted the fact that they're taking a psychotropic med. So you don't want to guarantee anything. You always want to protect yourself as an herbalist. If I can say anything from this particular podcast, like I said, I'm not an attorney, but you always want to make sure that you protect yourself. Even if it's family, I don't care who it is. Clients you work with, people that may use your products, you always want to think, okay, how can I make sure I protect myself first? Let me make sure I'm using the correct language. Let me make sure that I am not giving guarantees. It's like, you ever wonder why when you go to your medical doctor, they have you signing all kinds of paperwork. There's a lot of fine print. There's a lot of big print, but there is a lot of disclaimers, a lot of disclosures. I mean, it's probably thick. And don't have surgery. You're flipping pages left and right signing stuff. And what are they doing? They're holding their hands up in the air saying, hey, if something happened, hey, it ain't on us. You understand that what you're about to do and what you're agreeing to, it poses certain risks. So it ain't on us if something happened. And you have to waive. Yeah, don't be trying to sue us. We ain't making no guarantees. And this is a community that is protected. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of insurance. Right? So they're protected if something goes wrong, and they make sure of that. So how much more as herbalists should we do? We should do the same. If you are a clinical herbalist, have those disclosures. I'm serious, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation, like I said, people are fickle. And then sometimes people come to you, they have the wrong intentions anyway, from the jump. And then I've heard of, in my research, where agents from certain organizations were sent to herbalists or were sent to wellness centers to act as clients, to try to jam up herbalists. That's a real thing. And so you don't want to be paranoid, like I said before, but you need to treat everybody that sits in front of you as a potential agent. Hey, I can't make any recommendations. I can't make any, I can make recommendations, but I can't make any guarantees. I will not guarantee, but based on the clients that have used this was their outcome. There's a high chance that what we understand with this particular remedy and these plants and what we understand about the human body and what the human body can do, we can predict. Again, you see what's going on with the medical community. Not that we are the same or that we should mimic what they do, but in this particular instance, they are quick to make sure they protect it. So that way, if you come back and say, hey, even if they did something wrong, even if they were negligent, they can still, get sued. Doesn't, absolve them from being able to be sued. But bet your bottom dollar that they're going to have, hey, judge, they said, within reason, if we made a mistake, that they wouldn't sue us. So we have to, as herbalists, protect ourselves. And like I said, guaranteeing things is an issue of more so ethics more than anything. So you don't want to make guarantees on anything. And if the client, they need that guarantee, go somewhere else. Because you're not going to get it here. I'm not going to put my business in jeopardy for you. Because the average person, the average reasonable individual can understand that. Can understand the risk. And you're a better person for, explaining to them all aspects of your protocol and what it can do and what its limitations are. Because there's always some sort of limitations. And then if provided all of the information, then we can predict that this would be the outcome of this herbal protocol. And a reasonable individual would say, okay, you know what? I'm willing to take that chance because I want to get better. Now, unreasonable individual is, no, you need to guarantee me an outcome. And you also need to assume all of the risk, legal and otherwise, if this doesn't work out. And that's unreasonable. But there are people like that. And you will run into people like that. So my new herbalists, start early. Hey, I can predict. I can't guarantee it. And now some people are like, well, I don't want to say that because, won't that make me look like I don't know what I'm talking about? Won't that make people think, oh, she, her stuff probably don't even work? To the unreasonable individuals, yes. But to the reasonable individuals, no, because they will also look at the people that you have helped. They will also see, because a lot of the clients that you will get, you'll find will be word of mouth. You were able to help this person out and they done told somebody else and they told someone that told someone that told someone. And next thing you know, you have a whole client list. Because for herbalists, nothing is more powerful than the word of mouth for us. Because we can talk all day long and people are like, okay, all right, yeah, But when they hear a testimonial from somebody that you've helped, that is more powerful than anything because it's like, oh, it does work. That's some of the best advertisements that you can get. All right. I know I kind of went off on down a little rabbit hole there, but I just wanted to make that clear. And I'll probably delve into some more legal stuff later, but not as an attorney. Y'all heard my disclaimer in the beginning. But just some things that we need to kind of keep in mind as herbalists to protect ourselves, All right. So I gave you the red zone words. So if you are using any of these words on any of your products or on any of your disclosures, your intake forms, your website, your anywhere you're advertising what you do, if you're using any of those words today, go ahead and get rid of them and use some of these words. Because I know you're going to be like, well, if we can't say this, well, what can we say? Sheesh. All right. This is what you can say, or this is what I would recommend. These are the words I would recommend that you use instead of the language of the medical community, because that is what it is essentially. They're legally able to use their language. And anyone that comes in and uses their language, it can be assumed that you are trying to act like them. You are trying to be them. Even though you're not, it is going to be assumed. So if you call yourself doctor whatever, and you're not a medical doctor by a licensed whatever, then they are going to assume that you are trying to act like them. You're wearing them as a costume, and that is not the case. And they will come after you. All right. So these are the words. This is the language of herbal medicine. This is what I would recommend. These are the words that I would recommend that you use. So instead of prescribe, I would use the words recommend, advise, suggest. Okay. Instead of the word diagnose, I would say assess. Instead of the word cure, I would use restore, tone, balance, manage. You can also say address. Instead of the word treat, here I too would use the word address. Another word for guarantee, instead of using guarantee, say I would predict, or there's a high probability, or there's a high chance. Use these words. Now, is this a surefire way to not find yourself in court? No. There are many other factors involved in that. However, it can lessen your chances of getting sued, or if you end up in court, it could lessen the chances that you can lose a case, because the bottom line is this. It comes down to how you communicate about the work that you do. And the field of herbal medicine, it has its own language. So we have a different way that we describe what we do, and it's not the same language used by the medical community. How we talk about what we do is very important. And once you step over into the medical community's lane and you start using their language to describe what you do, then you're going to draw attention to yourself, because they're like, oh, well, you're using these words, and I usually associate those words with a medical doctor, so you must be a medical doctor. And that's not the case. All right? So be careful with the language that you speak, what you put in writing, what you have on your website. Be careful, because this can make you a target. And just the mere fact that you want to do good in this world already makes you a target. You already have a target on your back. You don't want to give reason for anyone, to take you to court for any reason, saying that you're trying to be a doctor, a medical doctor, or a medical professional. All right? So if you like what you heard, please stay tuned for more informative podcasts. You can hear this and future podcasts on Spotify, YouTube, every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, follow me on all social media sites at The Demystified Herbalist. And if you are looking for some herbal products to help you address your health needs, head on over to my website, thedemystifiedherbalist.square.site. And until next time, family, shalom.